Today we have a very special guest here at the Gong podcast studio, and I'm very, very happy. A person where I don't really met a long time ago, but he really grew very close to my heart. Theron Feemster, I welcome you here in the studio. Who are you?
What a question. That's a loaded question, honest. I am a person who loves life, love people. I'm curious, I'm kind, I'm open. I'm glad to be here. I am human. A man who loves music, love art, love beauty, and I love being here.
Well, that's a very nice answer of my question. And well, you came through Belinda, friend of us. You
Yeah.
know, she brought you here. We met in Switzerland very
hmm
shortly, and it seems that there was already a little connection. And you're probably one of the first person you said, "I'm coming," and you came.
Oh yeah.
Are you always like this?
When I feel it, when you know that it's a clear path, and I just felt like I should be here. And I'm so glad I came. Oh my goodness, honest, I'm so glad I came.
Well, you travel a lot, you see the world, right? And of course, it's a lot is your music world, but also in the music world, there's a lot of the kind of levels of society. So when you arrived here, or did you had any expectation before?
No, I've never been to this side of the world, so I had no clue. So I was open to the one and meeting you. You kind of kicked it off. I saw the wonder in your eyes, and and the things that you've captured in the world. Like if you thought it was wonderful, I had to come see. Like, man, what is the wonder here? And so yeah, I had no expectations, but just to be open to the beauty of it all.
So you landed at the airport, brand new airport,
Yeah, I
big,
was
huge.
shocked. I was like, man, this is an incredible airport in Cambodia.
Well, this is one of our kind of crown jewels where we show to the people that, well, Cambodia is existing, right? We at least have a big airport. And then you came out to the farmhouse. So can you describe a little bit? What did you saw when you arrived here in
You
our
know,
kind of campus?
I gotta say, when I arrived there, like the airport was pretty shocking. Like the architecture, like how beautiful it was. It wasn't just like a normal airport. You can tell that there was a lot of intention and art and beauty put in. I was shocked. And I think what really got me the most, how kind the people were when I got here, even going through customs and the way they treated me and my family. It was just everybody was smiling, and it was like they were glad to have me here. So from that part, I was really excited. Got here, and the weather was incredible. What is it? February? No, yeah, not February. That's how the time disappears when you get to
Oh, now
Cambodia.
we're in December.
Yeah, dang, December, dang. November, the weather was incredible. And so we got in the car and we started driving and we started this journey. Next thing you know, out of nowhere, I pull up the Smiling Gecko and it's like his own island. It's his own place here. And so it's like entering a whole nother world when you enter through the gates of Smiling Gecko. It was pretty incredible. And there I knew, like, man, like, what am I going into? And so yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned, I maybe you remember or mentioned that actually Cambodia has a great music history, but it has all been forgotten. I always say Cambodia is a black spot on the world map because it has no importance to the rest of the world. Maybe also because we don't have resources. There is nothing much to gain except cheap labors. And I initiated to build this place because I felt that if you do not really preserve their culture, so the citizen of Cambodia, who will they be if they don't have an identification? Your identification is your music.
Mm,
And America has a big
yeah.
identification. Switzerland has it in that traditional music. So music is so important. And I was so hopeful you come. And what did you do? You not only sit on your piano. No, you start to dig out all my traditional instruments I have sleeping, laying in my music house, were hardly been used. And you suddenly you gave them a soul. You started to play. You integrated it into your music. I mean, you have no idea what it meant for me. That was my dream. My
Mm.
dream was that we take their history and that we are bringing into our time, and that we find young people who suddenly become interested on their own music because they see a future in that kind of fusion type of transformation. I mean, we all transform in a new age, right? Today it's
Hmm.
not like it is 50 years ago. So I was so touched. And tell me a little bit how it come when you started to the first time you played with this instrument.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. For me, the sound really started when I got to see the land. You before you even get to Smiling Gecko, you see these homes on stilts, like high stilts. You see cattle in the middle of the road, and you're driving through. Is literally like, first of all, it was a whole nother world, coming here. And so for me, the sound for me started when I started to see the beauty of the land, the landscape, the trees, the red dirt, the first of all, I've never heard a gecko like gecko, gecko, like a lizard that actually, you see them on commercials, but to actually see a gecko and hear them sing, and they actually say the word gecko, gecko, like, for me, the sound started with the people, the land, how they look at you, how they smile at you, the curiosity in their eyes, the wonder in their eyes. And from there, the sound started to, like, man, like, this place feels new. It feels undiscovered in the most incredible way. And so from there, I wanted to know what was the sound of the land, like what instruments, what native instruments, like what did the people use to communicate sound here. And then you took me to literally like this treasure chest, and you put out all of these ancient instruments I've never seen before. And where there's new sounds, there's new ideas. And plus I had, already the sound that was already starting to swirl in my heart because of how the people made me feel, how the beauty of the land, the mountains, the green. And so when I saw these beautiful ancient instruments, Hannes, and I started to play the sound of the instruments, it started to unlock something in me, a new kind of curiosity. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know the history, like, the rhythms, the tones, the melodies that were used to communicate with these instruments. So,
Yeah, this is well, it's a bit similar like me, I
yeah.
can find a lot of parallels. But then, yeah, of course, you came, you enjoyed our beautiful farmhouse. It's very comfortable, it's nice, and that's what it is built for. It's also very quiet. It's kind of an oase away from this hectic life of the rest of the world. But then I was asking you if I can show you, can I invite you for a little concert with my children? And for me, it's fascinating. These children coming out of nowhere. Their parents can't read, can't write.
Mm,
They've never been in a world like this. And well, we had the last couple of years where we started to introduce them to music, Western music, but also to local music. And then you hear them sing
yeah.
the first night, and I was watching you, I was looking at
Mm,
you, doing like, what do you do? And I saw your eyes lighting up, and you didn't had a lot of reaction, but I could see. I think you've been touched when you hear them singing.
yeah.
Okay, they are students, they're school kids, right? And for me, I was very curious. What do you think? What do you feel?
I grew up in a household where music, the wealth of music, is from the heart. And after hearing the stories of where these kids come from, their backgrounds, like, you know, and then to see them get on stage with all of that confidence, to come from that kind of background, and and to see them smile, to see all of that light in their eyes, to see hope, for them to be on a stage and to sound like they had all the money in the world, like they were the most wealthiest kids in the world. Like when I heard them sing with all of that heart and all of that wonder, I'm a big believer that heart will take you places that talent can't. So I saw the beginning of something new. I saw the future. I saw kids who say anything is possible when I use my voice, when I use song, when I use music, when I use art. So I was looking at kids full of wonder, full of passion, full of hope, full of love. I was looking at kids who realized that they were being seen. I heard kids who sound like they knew that they were being valued, that going home was one thing, but coming to a place to where anything is possible. That's what I heard. So when you see my eyes and you see my reaction, my heart went out because I was like, whoa, like I hear, but I also saw a lot of heart. And where you have a lot of heart, honest, anything is possible. So I was literally looking at the future. And with a place like this, and to be in a position to be seen, to be loved, to be heard, who are these kids going to be in the next couple of years? With that combination of modern technology and you're giving them access to tools that can change their lives. So I was listening and watching kids that were full of hope and wonder, and that was an incredible and such an inspiring thing to see, honest.
Well, I know after you had an idea, you said because we're now in time of Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And then we of course we always cover Christmas song because I have nobody who could write a new Christmas song. Until you came with this amazing idea, let's do a Christmas song. So I saw you sitting down, and even your son, was sitting there and banging our instruments, right? And you started to play, to mix, to do all these kind of things, and then we invited the kids, right? And they started to sing. You directed them, right? And something has come about where I can only describe this as pure magic,
Yeah.
because it was your heart melting together with the heart of our kids, and this excitement for them, and then I know with the pronunciation, right, it's their language, the way they speak.
Yeah.
But they speak well English. But
Yes.
then again, you as a producer, you are very much on top of it, that it is very clear, because if you
Yeah.
just follow your words, and then you start working with them, they were in the recording room, around the microphone, and you were on the mixing desk, and you were like dancing in there, like, I don't know, a cheerleader kicking through the glass, bringing your energy.
Yeah.
But when you create something, what is your feeling when you have these kids, and yeah, they have to learn, they're not 100%, they're not professional singers, and you try to get the best out of it, and do they give up, or do they try to fulfill till you say, it's good?
It's authentic energy, natural energy, like finding that genuine connection. Like what connects? What makes the eyes go? And for me is I search for that. I look for that. So I kind of position myself and position my hearts to how do they feel? Like what makes them excited? Like, so this Christmas song, Christmas in America is way different than Christmas here in Cambodia. And so making this song, I wanted to write it with them. And I wanted to know, what is Christmas to y'all? What does Christmas mean to y'all? And he's like, well, there's no snow in Cambodia. Great. Sunshine is the snow here. What else do you love about the thought of Christmas here? And just to hear their words and their thoughts. And I thought that was the right way to write a Christmas song about Cambodia. And so to see them light up and to know that they had a part and that we could work together, we could bring two worlds together to create something incredible. And just to watch how resilient they were and how they wanted it, like they wanted it to make it great. They didn't give up. And working with them in the studio, their smiles on, like, they knew like they could do more. And so I just wanted to reaffirm that, like, I got your back. We can do this. And even with the diction part, my goal was I wanted to make it authentic to them. I didn't want them to sound American. I wanted them to sound like them, and just to find magic or wonder and how writing a song with a completely different world with kids who speak English really, really well, but just to see how quickly, Hannes, that song came in like 20 minutes. We literally sit there by the piano, and it's literally like the song just went zoop, and we were all open, and the song pretty much wrote itself. I would say their smiles helped. Their laughter, the giggles, to see their eyes lit up, That's kind of how you want to write path. So that was our method. That was our pathway. You know, stick to the joy. What makes you light up? And melody is everything. And we found it together. And now, we hope that this Christmas song would be something that not only light up the hearts of people here in Cambodia, but all around the world. And it was a really special moment, honest.
Yeah. You see, that we always have the tendency coming from the outside of our first world into a developing world that we try to put our heads over their head, right?
Mm,
And I mean, I don't know if I articulate this right. You coming out of the black music, right? This
mm,
is black music you do, and this has a special soul. I mean, when you hear people sing choirs in a church, when you see that kind of enthusiasm, this is so special. And I think this music also made America great. Sorry to say,
mm,
I mean, that's the soul of America, right? And
mm.
well, if a regular person will come, they say, "All right, now we have to sing like the black music, right, or
Yeah.
like we do." But you were different. You said to me, "I don't want that they sound like Americans. I want to find out how do the Cambodian sound when they sing, even
Yeah.
if they sing the black music, also the people, the blues, all this kind of thing." And then you used the local instrument. And with the local instrument,
Mm.
for me, you broke already all the bridges we have, because suddenly there was element in that song who was Cambodian,
Yeah.
also on the base of the music.
Yeah.
And then you let them be the way they are, right? And
Yeah.
I think this is your talent. That's what you have. You're not change everything into the same kind of box, or
Yeah.
you're looking always to a different box and how to
Yeah.
adapt. And I think that was also when you met the Kissor, I also was so happy that our local musicians were able to meet you. I mean, when the first time you were in the piano, and these guys came in, I think they were just shaking their heads. They couldn't understand that you can play a piano like you
Yeah.
play. No, because that's what I always say. They're very good, but they're very limited,
Mm.
because there is not big music market. They don't getting really influence from the outside. They are, but then they don't have the foundation of like where a lot of musicians in America or also in Europe have, because they were living their life with music.
Yeah.
Here it's more, they come from wealthy backgrounds, they can afford to buy an instrument, and then they play and they become famous because they're wealthy and not because they're good musician. And you showed here the people. You also made a
Mm.
song with Kessor,
Oh
right?
yeah.
She has, for me, she's exceptional in her way. She's
Incredible.
beautiful, young, and beautiful. We have so many talents, right? And what you do here is you open doors and windows to a different world, and this is so fascinating with you, that you have this understanding, right? And so when you work with Kessor, so what do you feel? Do you think, oh, she's okay? Or do you think she's talented? Or do you think she has a potential? Or how do you look also at our kids? So how do you feel? I mean, you're a professional, you work with
Uh,
the best musicians in the world, right?
that's a really good question. You said about music in America, gospel, soul, jazz, rock and roll, like when you talk about choirs and and soul music, And I know you understand this deeply. Where there's no contrast, there's no picture. And I believe and know soul music, especially in the gospel church, you know, there was struggle, and then there was victory. There was, everybody has a story of how they overcame, how they got liberated, how they came through. So a lot of the soul you hear is continued DNA of a reminder that you are strong, that we can make it. Like, this is the one language that can help us get through tough times. So you're hearing essence of of heart, of history. And so when you speak of gospel choirs, when people come to see the power of that, they're seeing history. They're seeing, you know, sound that has been passed through time, that's only changed shape but still have the same essence. So coming here, I knew that there was a story, and there was a story of contrast. And for me, it's not that these like they were limited. It was almost when you poke holes in something that's full, you realize there's so much. How do you express that? How do you express that feeling of whether you felt this way or you known this history, or like, how do you express? So for me, and still today, I'm learning the history, I'm learning and meeting incredible artists. I've been learning their struggles, like what they've overcame, what they believe they can be and what they already are in their hearts. And to meet artists like Kersork, right?
Yeah.
And to see her unapologetically express that, realizing that she doesn't need anybody's permission to express what she's been through in her life, and to get on stage like a fireball. That energy translates. So going back to the kids and these musicians that I met, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're seeing a wave, but these are entire oceans that are just waiting to be expressed. It's like, you seeing waves, but these kids are oceans. These artists are massive oceans that have the power to express themselves in the most incredible way. And what I'm glad to be here, what I'm really grateful, I'm grateful to be here to help them. Just not even just help them, but let them know, like, there's no limit. Be free. How do you feel? How do you want to express yourself? Scream, laugh, cry, jump, dance. How does it feel to have that feeling and speak about it, sing about it unapologetically? People having the permission to be the best expressions of themselves. So when you see a gospel choir in church or wherever out in America, this is like we're expressing with no limit how we feel. And here, what is that for Cambodia? Cambodia has history. They have contrast. They have beauty. You had the struggle. You have the victory. You have the colors. You have the light. You have the wonder. So what does that feel like for them to unapologetic? You have undiscovered rhythms. You have undiscovered sound. You have flavors that hasn't even been, like, we don't even know that flavors like that even exist that is over here. So there's so much opportunity for expression, unapologetic beauty and expression. So I'm grateful to be here to see, like, how is that going to impact the world? And watching these kids and watching these artists and these musicians express themselves, Hannes, is incredible. I'm telling you, it's like people may see the wave, but I see oceans. I see like, oh my gosh, there's like so much here. And so that's my kind of long-winded answer, but I mean, this is it's curiosity and discovery here, man.
It's very nice. You know, I mean, also a long time I traveled with musicians, 70s, 80s, 90s. And at that time, rock and roll was a revolution.
Mm,
It was the conservative children stood up, or the children stood up against their conservative parents. If you take the history of the black people in America, we talk about slavery. We're talking about how a black society always had to fight for their existence in America, and still today have to fight. And if I make a copy in Cambodia, it was a beautiful, peaceful country with everything there. And then there was a man called Pol Pot. It's 50 years ago where he arranged a genocide. And since then, actually, they are suppressed. There's
mm,
never been that freedom, that release. And I feel like the black people in America use music, gospels,
mm,
choirs to show themselves, to kind of fighting for their freedom. And they still today, I see a chance for the young generation who is very suppressed here, especially girls, that
mm,
they can start to fight for their freedom in the future. So I see a lot of parallels
mm,
between these two societies, right? But the difference is a little bit as the black people always had a different background. They always, even when they were slaves, they were singing. They were always composing their song, and they always brought their problems through music to the public. It was here or not here. But here, they don't know how to do. So what our intention is that they learn to bring their problem through music
mm,
into public and the world, because music is very difficult politically to go against it,
mm,
right? A speech against a position against politics, that's one thing. But when you start to pack it in music, it is different. People can hear. You can read between the words you're talking. That's what Kesso does. She speaks about women. She speaks about, the suppression of women. And I hope that we, with people like you, Theron, helps us to open this dam of there is the ocean behind the dam, and now so something is it's a overspotting, a bit leaking, right? There's a little crack in the dam, but I want to help to break that wall so that they start to talk about themselves, about their problem, right? And I think we have a potential, but we need a bit of guidance, right? And you're one of my guides at the moment, and I think it's a very nice thing if you can lead a country who has nothing into a kind something who everybody will discover that there is something. So
mm.
that's a bit my position, right? And I think you have that feeling for, right?
I care. People are beautiful. Humans are beautiful. Life is beautiful, and something that I think is really, and just in my opinion, that I think if people understood the power of why music is such an incredible gift, music and sound is the only thing that doesn't need your permission to go into your soul. So to understand that concept is that it can't be stopped. Sound, music, it goes everywhere. It goes in the words, the lyrics, the melody. Whether you don't like it or not, is still going inside your soul. And I saw something beautiful yesterday when we was having lunch. I saw the rice fields, and I saw something spectacular. And for people to understand what was the difference between weeds and rice, the blade, right? And for me, when the Cambodian people when humans in general, but speaking about here, when to realize that you're rice and you're not wheat, because when you're rice, doesn't matter if you get flooded with water, that the rice can still not only remain rice but benefit from all of it. So the fact that where there's contrast, there's a beautiful picture. And when you're rice, you have history, you have struggle, you have hope, you have victory, but it all feeds the rice, the water. Versus when it's just the wheat can't survive in the water. So to realize that as Cambodian people, they're resilient. They're incredible. Doesn't matter if it's flooded with water, you know, when you realize that you are strong rice that has elements that have benefits, that you have the ability to make not only just you stand strong, but you have something beautiful to give that can nurture everything else around you. To realize how brilliant and how resilient and how wonderful you are, and you have a sound. But like my grandma would say, or like Maria would say, she'd say, food that's food always tastes better when it's cooked with love. So to realize when they make a sound, when their sound is full of love, full of passion, full of strength, full of I can do it, I'm not scared, like I have something to say. I want to be rice. I am not wheat. So it don't matter if I get flooded with things around me, that I can still stand strong. But not only can I stand strong, I could absorb from what other people would call chaos. I can use it as a way to even give and grow more. So what I saw yesterday, wait a minute. That's why I say when I first came to Cambodia, the song started when I saw the land, when I saw the people, when I saw everybody's smiling at you, man. Everybody just want to help everybody. And so for me it's just reminding them, it's like, remember who you are. Remember that you lack nothing. Remember that you are rice. You're not wheat, and you got so much to give, you know. And another good friend is Belinda's dad, said something really wise. Something that I've kind of taken, I say myself, but it's such a true statement. He said, pressure seeks expression. And right now, Hannes, you gave them an incredible spaceship. You gave them an incredible world where there's no limit to how they can express themselves. And when you have so much in you, and you have a place like this where you have the latest tech, you have incredible engineers, you have the best farm to table, like you have like literally like some of the best food I've tasted, like the flavors, so when you coming from that kind of contrast where there's no contrast, there's no picture. So can you imagine the contrast? So for me, it's only just reminding these kids and reminding the artists that I've met, like, you lack nothing. Just remember who you are. Like, don't suppress that feeling, that ocean. I know you show them waves. Maybe it's a tsunami sometime, but you got an entire ocean, that's waiting to, you know, where there's a healthy ecosystem, then you get, fish, shrimp, I'll eat well, we can go further and further. But for me, I just want to help remind them that you lack nothing, that you were born with everything it takes to be great. And you got a sound that I believe that the world is excited. They are very excited to hear, and I'm glad to be a part of it, and humbly to also learn from them. learn more about their story, their struggle, their hope, so I can be of better, I can help score and help, you have to, before you jump into anything, I think it's just wise to understand, that, what is it? What does it mean to you? Why do you feel the way you feel? Like, what makes you shake? What makes you, and, all of those are just colors for me. There's beautiful ripples of, you know, say it this way. The Cambodian people are rocks that have a lot of ripples, you know? It's like, some rocks you drop is just like one ripple. But there's a lot of ripples, and in those ripples, there are beautiful worlds to be discovered. So it's like I'm just taking my time and getting to know everyone, even the gecko, the animals, the sounds, the birds, the red dirt, you know. Um, I'm just here, and I'm grateful to be here, and I'm open, and I have an empty teacup, and I'm glad to see rice fields, a bunch of rice fields that doesn't matter if there's no water, if there's a water, like, to see something and see people that are so beautiful, In America, black people are beautiful, like, you see, you see it, you feel it, but when you travel the world, you realize deeply and truly, all people are beautiful, and everybody just really wants to be understood, seen, and
Well,
I mean, but
so I can't find better words to describe what you did, and I can only be thankful to you, and so happy that I was met you and have a friendship with you, and I wish that you very often return and that you discover more. There's still a lot to discover in this country, and for this, in the name of everybody here, for our children, for our people at Smiling Lake, I only can say thank you, thank you, thank you very much.